So, welcome everybody. This is Kiara here. It's April 1st, 2020, and I want to welcome all of you from wherever you are in the world. I know many of you are joining us from all over, from Europe, US, Turkey, India, and elsewhere, England. Our intention for these times is to create a wave of light, a unified light to move out through the world in a way that can be comforting and powerful. We're here in these times, especially during these times, for a very strong and decisive purpose. We're all aware of these coronavirus days, the intense waves of panic that have been moving through human consciousness around the world. Some of this has a basis, some of it doesn't. And if you go through some of the blogs that I've been creating during the last weeks, I go into some different perspectives about what this represents. What is this coronavirus about? What are the facts and the fallacies? What are the fears? And what's underneath all of this? And these are simply perspectives that are meant to empower us, not to place us into deeper fear, but to awaken us to what our choices are and how we can actually create new choices at this time. There's some talk about a global meditation happening on April 4th and 5th, and I would like to invite us to come together. Well, we've been meeting on this Facebook avenue every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at this time, which turns out to be 9 a.m. European time, and whatever corresponding time zone you happen to be. And this Saturday will be April 4th. So this will be an opportunity for us to come together with millions and millions of others around the world to hold this space. And that's what my intention is for us to be doing each time we gather, each time we meet, each time we connect. Today happens to be April 1st. Traditionally, it's a time that is rather a cosmic joke. It's an exploration of what is real and what isn't real. And this is the choice that we're making now, based on our intention. It's not so much something that we're responding to from the outside. It's something we create from the inside, and then the world responds to that eventually, either directly or indirectly. So there's a power that we carry within our being that we've sometimes forgotten. And I would like to remind us now of what this is about. And obviously, we are far more than what we think we are. We're immense beings of light here on assignment on this earth. We're not simply personalities stuck in these human bodies, stuck in circumstances that we may not be able to effectively control. We're here as messengers, we're here as vehicles for something greater than our personal self. So, what is it that we are? This infinite consciousness. What does it mean to be this infinite consciousness? It's not just something that we can create a belief system around and simply go about our lives. It's something that we can actually bring through us in a way that transforms things around us. If we are truly infinite consciousness, this consciousness has the ability to create waves, to create tsunamis. Because this is the nature of infinite consciousness. We're here as creators. We've created worlds and dimensions and we continue to do so at this time. So to go into states of fear isn't necessary, isn't the only choice we have. Sometimes we are told certain things that cause us to go into states of fear, feeling that we are victims, feeling that we are helpless. And that's only half the story. It's the human half of the story. It may be real in certain ways, and it may be very different from different perspectives. So what I would like to do is to enter together into a state of unified awareness, like we did last time, and like we'll continue to doing as we meet together, where we can begin to reconnect with who we are. And as we do so, we also find ourselves disconnecting from the matrix. Many of you may have watched that movie. It's a beautiful, powerful movie, which is so true on so many levels. We are exiting now from this matrix of separation, of fear, of duality, and we're entering into a unified state and allowing that to move through us in a way that can create new worlds, new realities. We're doing so anyway. Sometimes we don't realize how much of this is happening. We sometimes think in terms of a battle between dark and light. And on a certain perspective, yes, this is true. There's the white hats and the black hats and the good and the evil, the dark forces and the light forces. They're within us as well as around us and external to us. But that's one perspective. And for those of you who have been participating with me in some of the Inca teachings and practices, there's a recognition that it's not so much a duality. It's simply about whether we are in a flow of energy, or if we have somehow moved ourselves outside of this flow. As soon as we step outside of this flow, we get stuck in the duality of right and wrong and good and bad, which leads to fear, which leads to helplessness, which leads to frustration, which leads to helpless rage sometimes. On the other hand, once we recognize that nothing is outside of this flow, we find our power and our empowerment. We find ourselves able to hold certain perspectives, and from those perspectives create certain outcomes. And it's much more powerful than we allow ourselves to appreciate and to realize, especially in these times. Many have been looking forward to this year, 2020, as a time of enormous and profound change. There have been all kinds of predictions and prophecies from all kinds of traditions, intuitions, dreams that we've been experiencing. And this time of transformation is at hand. It's going on. We're in the midst of it. Transformation doesn't necessarily mean things have to be easy. It's an opportunity to confront, to face our fears, and to move beyond them. It's an opportunity to explore aspects of ourselves that we may not have realized, that we may have forgotten. It takes courage, and it takes perseverance, and it takes the recognition that we are beings of light, that we are lovers and warriors and powerful creatures, and not separate from the life of Mother Earth, of Gaia. We must also remember that what we are going through at this time is not just simply a human experience. We are experiencing an evolutionary journey for the entire planet, Gaia. And the more we can connect with Gaia, the more we can experience ourselves as Gaia, the more we can participate in this journey, the more empowered we feel, and the more our actions can bear fruit. The Mayas refer to 3 days of darkness as a time of, as a pivotal moment where we move from the hell realms into the heaven realms. What does that mean? What is this 3 days of darkness? There's many different ways of looking at it, but one way that I've been experiencing this is that it's actually a shift in a magnetic frequency. It's a reset within the magnetic field of the earth. And maybe it has something to do with the Schumann resonance, as some people say. Maybe it has something to do with the reversal or the excursion that we are going through right now as the magnetic polarity of the earth is changing. And maybe it has to do with something even beyond our solar system. Galactic waves that are coming in, cosmic waves that are sweeping through our planet, creating all kinds of effects upon this earth, physically as well as within our consciousness. So, as we begin to experience ourselves as Gaia, we realize that we can participate in this, whatever this 3 days might be, more fully, more joyfully, and more powerfully. Many of us who have been actually learning how to release the fear represented as this coronavirus are moving into states of great joy and ecstasy, where waves of light are beginning to move on a cellular level, to move through our immune systems, to move through our nervous systems, to move through our emotional and mental bodies, and bring us in touch with our soul body, the causal body, in a way that there's absolute trust in the perfection of these times. And as we enter into that state of oneness or trust or perfection, we realize that we are truly creators, and that there is truly a transformation going on at this time, which is unprecedented, and this is why we are here. So knowing this now, let's begin to step into a field where we can experience this and radiate this out into the world. So what I would like us to do now is to before I do this, there's a question I want to respond to from last time. Someone had asked, how do we know? How do we discern truth? How do we know what level of consciousness a certain perspective or certain factual awareness is coming from? How do we discern so that we can learn how to make different choices? And what I would say to this is that as we connect more deeply with that space of stillness within us, discernment happens on its own. It's not something that we arrive at from the level of the conscious or the rational mind. We begin to connect with deeper and higher levels of the mind. These levels of the mind are cellular, and they're also beyond our physical awareness. So this is the level of the mind that we will be actually connecting with and embracing in these meditation practices. I deeply, deeply respect and honor the Inca tradition from which these practices arise, because they found a way to connect with these flows of life outside and beyond the field of duality. So it's not that there's a duality or separation between heaven and earth, between the spirit and body, between right and wrong and good and evil. It's actually the only distinction is between something that's in flow or something that's outside the flow. If you're outside the flow, we have a choice of reconnecting and re-experiencing this flow, and from there connecting with a deeper aspect of soul, with our personal soul, with the planetary soul, with the soul of the universe. So this is what our meditation is about. So let's connect together now. Wherever you are in this world, take a deep breath. Become aware of the boundaries of your personal self. Become aware of a bubble of light that surrounds your physical body, extending out maybe 2 or 3, about 2 meters or 5 or 6 feet around the physical body. It's an egg-shaped bubble. The shamans often refer to this as the luminous egg. And this bubble represents the boundary of the middle world, the world of our physical senses and the world of our rational mind. As you become aware of this bubble around you, now become aware that there's a window at the very top of this bubble, which is an opening into the upper world. So it's a circular window directly over the top of the bubble, maybe 5 or 6 feet or 2 meters over the top of your head. And you're opening this window now as wide as you can. It's like stepping into a waterfall of light, allowing this very powerful, intensely electrical force to begin moving downwards through the window, through the entire bubble, including the physical body, and down into the earth. So all you're doing is keeping that window open, there's no effort involved, no visualization from the level of the rational mind. It's simply the intention to open the door to the upper world and letting this powerful intelligence the intelligence of our divine self, the universal self, the presence that I am, begin to descend down through this window, down through every cell of your body, down through all the layers of your personality, the mind, the emotions, the memories, the thoughts, the feelings, the sense of self that we carry. releasing fears, releasing stories, traumas, illusions, anything that keeps us in states of separation and duality. All this which we've inherited within our psyches for so many generations. So as this divine light pours in and pours through, it automatically begins to clear out layers of this hucha. These blockages to the flow of life. And it happens on its own. All we're doing is keeping that window open as wide as possible. And then in response to this descent of light, there's a stream of light that comes up from deep within the earth. It's a magnetic force that comes up through the soles of your feet, up through your body, up through the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, up through the entire bubble, up through that window, and up to the sky. It's like a fountain of light coming up from below, pulsing with energy and light. But this time, a little bit heavier and slower. The electrical force moving downwards is very intense, very subtle, very stimulating. The light stream coming up from below, in contrast, is deeper, very healing, very comforting, nurturing. You feel the unconditional love emanating from the heart of the Great Mother, the Earth Mother, below our feet. You feel this light moving up, filling and permeating through every cell of our bodies, healing aspects of our consciousness that have been permeated with fear, with separation, with stories of unworthiness, not being good enough, strong enough, loving enough. Releasing those stories as we connect with the energy of the Mother, discovering ourselves as part of her, as connected with her, no longer separate and alone. And these two streams of light continue moving back and forth, upwards and downwards. Electrical light moving downwards, magnetic light moving upwards in response. And as they continue to move back and forth and interact, you feel how your bubble itself begins to expand. You begin to connect with the causal body, what the Hindus call the Anandamaya Kosha, the body of light, the body of bliss. This is where you connect with the energies of the soul. This is where you discover that you as a personal self are not separate from fields of light around you. You're not separate from the soul of the earth. And with all the kingdoms of the earth and all the creatures that inhabit this earth. You feel the connectedness with all of us who are joining together in this meditation at this time. You feel the presence of innumerable beings of light from the angelic realms, as well as from the realms of nature. You find yourself expanding out until you become the earth, and then go beyond the earth, as far out as you wish. You connect with fields, endless fields. Beyond the physical dimension. Some of you may find yourselves going out even further to the very boundaries of time and space, to the very edges of physical creation. Where you find yourself connecting now with the infinite self, the one spirit that moves through all things, that is all things. Bring your attention to a space just behind the back of the head now. It's about 1/2 meter out. It's a space where we can begin to enter into the spherical consciousness of Gaia. It's a space where we begin to connect with the energy, the consciousness of the whales, of dolphins, the cetacean kingdoms, as well as human masters of light. And there are so many beings that we are unaware of, who inhabit so many dimensions and levels of creation. We invite their presence here now. So as we enter into this great unified bubble of light that is now the size of this entire planet and beyond, we open ourselves to the supramental field of light. And this is a field that has the power and the potential to unify opposites. It has the potential to penetrate deep into the heart of darkness and transform it. Where there is a darkness we carry within ourselves that is unseen, denied, or repressed, and therefore shows up as pain. Or if it's a multi-generational darkness, locked into the very matrix of human consciousness, in all of our years of human existence. In this current species. As we open ourselves to this unified light, we begin to experience a change in biology. As more of the illusion of fear releases, we experience within our bodies a sense of divine potential, accompanied by waves of bliss and light and power. We experience a sense of safety and comfort, knowing that we can trust these waves of light. We can trust that Mother Earth knows the way. Trust that the universe itself has a plan and purpose. Even if we understand such a small part of it, we can still allow these universal forces to move through us. So allow yourself to dissolve into this field of light. Allow the personal self to unify with the universal self. In this space there's no fear, there's no aloneness, there's no separation. There is a deep inner knowing of who we are and why we are here. Let this knowing permeate every cell of our being on every level of existence. And I leave you now in this space. Remain as long as you wish in this unified field of light. Until we meet again on Saturday, April 4th. Blessings. Love. Beauty.